Most serial killers don't make any effort to involve the media or investigators. They're very secretive. They don't want attention. They almost want their crimes to go unnoticed. But the idea of committing a crime and then calling up the police and bragging about it, that's a whole nother level of terror.
A man who wore a medieval-style executioner's hood.
Who has baffled the police and baffled the media.
He seems to crave publicity. He sent letters and cryptograms to newspapers and the police.
Subject stated, I want to report a murder. No, a double murder. I did it.
Here we are, 50 years after the first Zodiac killing. In today's world of forensics, old cases are being solved. Who doesn't want to know how it turns out?
From the creators of Atlanta Monster comes Season 2. This is Monster, the Zodiac Killer. Listen and subscribe at Apple Podcasts or on the iHeartRadio app.
We've talked about how Jen and Sarah Hart met each other and how they quickly adopted 6 kids. We've talked about how Jen curated an identity for the family on social media and at music festivals. And we've talked about how the Harts lived. Now, we're going to talk about how they died. This is hard stuff, obviously, and we've spent a lot of time thinking about it. What happened in the week leading up to the Harts' 561-mile trip from Washington to California? And when Jen arrived at the edge of the cliff, what made her keep her foot on the gas? From Glamour and How Stuff Works, this is Broken Hearts. I'm Liz Egan.
And I'm Justine Harmon. We're going to check back in with Bruce and Dana DeKalb, who were the Harts' neighbors in Woodland, Washington. You'll remember they're the ones who were woken up in the middle of the night by Hannah Hart.
Shortly after the Hannah incident, they bought blinds and never, ever opened them.
They
never.
Stayed closed 24/7.
You couldn't see in the house. You couldn't see in their car. They would go from the house to the car, and from the car to the house, literally single file. And it was like kind of at a fast clip, almost like running. Jennifer would get out and open the doors, then they would get out and single file to the house. I was hoping to see Hannah again because I was hoping to get it to her that you are always welcome to my home, that no matter what, feel free to come here. Or have her give me a signal, that she needs help. I wanted to let any of the kids know that, if they need help, just give me the nod. Because I just never felt comfortable about what I was observing.
That's Dana, who still teared up when talking about the Harts nearly 2 months after they died. Even though the sheriff's deputy had told Dana it wasn't illegal to not let kids play outside, she still had a bad gut feeling about the family. In fact, she vowed to keep watch on the comings and goings of their cars, on anything she could decipher from the house with the blinds drawn tightly shut. She made sure to take notes of each new visit Devante would make to their house. For months, Dana had only gotten tiny tidbits. Devante's clipped greetings when she tried to intersect him in the driveway on garbage runs. But now, finally, little by little, Devante was opening up.
We have to take our garbage cans to the street, and it's a long ways. And so I would watch for the kids because I wanted to try to have a conversation with any of them, but I could never get them to talk to me. And I never saw Hannah. One time, Devante and I kind of waited for him and caught up with him. And I talked to him, but he wouldn't answer me. Finally, right when we went to split, I said, well, have a good day. And he goes, yes, ma'am. And that was all I got from the whole way up the driveway. He got back up to the house, and I saw Jennifer scolding him. She went inside and left him standing out in the rain. And my first reaction, my gut was, he just got in trouble for talking to me. And then from that day on, we never saw him take the garbage. They did it in the night. I thought, okay, obviously there's something going on, that they've been instructed not to speak with us. From that day forward, Devontae, he was the only kid of the 6 of them that was ever outside doing work. He was raking leaves or hauling things. One day I sat and watched. He carried 10 bags of soil from the front to the back. And I kept thinking, my God, there's 6 of them. Even if Hannah's too tiny, there's 3 boys. And Marcus was way bigger than Devontae.
He was way bigger.
And so it blew my mind. And I sat and watched that thinking, eventually I'm going to see another kid. But it only was Devontae. When you tell me that the kids chose to live out in the country and want to become self-sufficient, then I would expect to see kids out in the yard planting or enjoying the property. You know, if you want to live like this, you enjoy it. And so it wasn't adding up. My gut instinct still had me on alert.
She talked about it forever.
I was obsessed with it.
She was obsessed with it.
I watched their comings and goings. I mean, I knew when Sarah had a day off. I stalked them essentially because I just couldn't let it go.
Aside from a few brief conversations in the driveway, the DeKalbs felt the Harts were avoiding them. But that changed on Thursday, March 15th, 2018, when Devontae approached Bruce, who was working on his truck, and asked for tortillas. It was a simple request, like asking for a cup of sugar or a stick of butter, and Bruce was happy to help.
That same day, over on Facebook, Jen was celebrating the 9th anniversary of Devontae, Sierra, and Jeremiah's official adoption date. She posted 6 black and white pictures of the kids grinning and wearing cute hats. We won't read the whole status update. It's a long one, too. But the lines you're about to hear are pretty poignant, considering what was about to happen. And considering that Devontae might have been asking Bruce for food at the very moment Jen typed these words.
I am a better human in every possible way for knowing these children. They have been my greatest teachers. Contrary to the common notion that we can't choose our family, we absolutely can. We choose by loving, and that's worth celebrating every damn day.
Dana and Bruce weren't friends with Jen on Facebook. In fact, they had no idea she was active on social media until after she died. On Friday, March 16th, 2018, around 9 a.m., they answered a knock on their door. There was Devontae, again, asking for bread. This time, Dana was the one who gave him the food. She didn't have bread, so she gave him tortillas instead.
The first night, I didn't think anything. When he came back, I was like, that's weird. Okay. He would kind of watch down the road.
He would watch down the road, and, but he was only here
minutes.
As long as he needed to be.
He would never come in the house.
Yeah, never came in the house.
He would stand out in the rain. Nope.
No, never came in the house.
He would not step foot. I'd say, come in, honey, it's raining. Nope. And he'd be like, he was always really in a hurry. But then when he came back Friday night, it's like, wait a minute, I just gave you like 30 tortillas. I specifically thought, I got to take a step back and just, size him up. He was always dressed in baggier clothes, rubber boots and longer sleeves. In March, when he started coming over here, it's still wet and cold. His shoulders were super small in comparison to his head. I have little shoulders. He was smaller than me. He was really thin. Like his arms were as big as my wrist.
How tall are you?
5'4".
Was he taller than you? Or
No.
Around my height.
He was small.
The next day, around 5 p.m., Devontae was back. He wanted more food. Bruce and Dana tried to get him to stay and talk. Dana was determined to collect information she could share when she called Child Protective Services again. Remember, the first time she spoke to them, after her dad reported the Harts, she was told there was nothing they could do to help.
That's when it was like, okay, we got to get details. So every time he came over, I would ask him a little more and a little more. First it was just about playing outside and, were you allowed to play outside at your other house? And then it was, what about school?
Meanwhile, Jen continued to post about Devontae on Facebook. He was one of her favorite subjects. We know that already. 4 days after his first visit to the DeKalbs, she shared a picture where you can only see his eyes, brown and smiling. The bottom of his face is obscured by a tray full of dirt and seedlings.
The post reads, "We currently have 600 flowers/vegetables growing in the living room before they're moved to the little greenhouse." She goes on to say that the kids are, quote, "reading their environmental biology books out loud to each other and to the plants." It sounds like a cozy scene.
We all put off things we know we need to do. I mean, we know we need to organize the garage or the fridge, but something always gets in the way. Funny how home security can be like that. You know it's a good idea, but there's always something holding you back. That's why I recommend Simply Safe Home Security. Simply Safe believes that nothing should come between you and protecting your home. So they've gotten rid of the reasons not to get home security. There's no contract ever, no price markups from any middleman, and no installation windows. Who has time for that? Most importantly, their system is engineered to do one thing brilliantly: protect. So if a storm takes out your power, Simply Safe is ready. If an intruder cuts your phone line, Simply Safe is ready. If they destroy your keypad or siren, Simply Safe will still get you the help you need. Maybe it's overkill. Maybe it's the last thing you want to think about this holiday. But with Simply Safe, you're always ready for anything. So get a jump on protecting your home today at simplysafe.com/broken. No time like the present, fellow procrastinators. That's simplysafe.com/broken to get the protection you need today. simplysafe.com/broken. On Tuesday, March 20th, Devontae returned to the DeKalb's house twice. Although he still wouldn't come inside, he was at least more forthcoming than he'd been on previous visits.
I asked him how he was able to sneak over here. He told me they weren't very observant. Now I've learned that Jennifer was a gamer, a video gamer on computers. And so he came over when she was probably gaming, or he would come over late at night when they were probably asleep. Sarah was never home, I don't think, when he made his trips over here, was she?
No.
She was either gone to work or it was late enough that she would probably be in bed.
This made sense. While Sarah was working long hours at Kohl's, Jen was running a guild of video game enthusiasts, sometimes dominating group chats to the point where one dubbed her a stone-cold narcissist. So it seems like there wasn't a whole lot of supervision happening in the Hart house. And the family life Devontae described to the DeKalbs bore little resemblance to the rosy utopia Jen described to her fans.
They were withholding food as punishment. He would say, well, we're teenagers and we act out, and so we get punished in that way. And Dana said, well, there's nothing you could ever do that would warrant someone taking food away from you. I don't care what it is.
So to a degree, he did say we're teenagers and act out, like trying to claim there was some sort of cause.
Yeah, or that maybe that they thought that there was a cause. You know, trying to make it like it was normal somewhat. But obviously it wasn't.
Just to recap, Devontae showed up at the DeKalbs on March 15th, 16th, 17th, 20th, and 21st. He showed up for the last time on March 22nd.
He started asking for cured meat and 6 jars of peanut butter and 6 packages of tortillas and apples. And then he goes, and donuts, and he kind of looked, and I said, no, I'm not doing no junk food. And he go, oh, okay. You know, when you say specifically cured meats, and he told us non-perishables, he even said non-perishables. I can't have anything that's frozen or needs to be refrigerated. It was like, is he going to run away?
Was there like a moment that you felt the pitch change of just like, I'm not going to be guarded about this anymore. I'm just telling you we're being abused?
Yeah, that was on Wednesday when he first started telling us a little more about abuse, and then asking us, please don't call the cops. Told us that everything Hannah told you was true. The things my mom told you were just to make you happy. And it was just like, oh God, I totally bought into it. And I was just like, oh God, just kill me. I said, okay, so why did she run away that night? Because my mom was abusing her. It was just like, too much. It had started out just as, a meal here or there, but now it was long periods of time. And then he said, Sarah used to not go along with it, but she is now. I just felt like, okay, now I have enough to get somebody's attention.
On March 22nd, 2018, Jen made her final Facebook post. It was a 30-second video of a pair of ducklings, one yellow, one black.
We see the ducks splashing together in a bowl of water, cuddling in someone's arms, someone who is white and wearing a gray sweatshirt. Then the ducks are balancing on the back of a rabbit and a cat, and finally climbing over a bowl filled with geodes, starfish, and shells. In the background, we see a woman with long brown hair, wearing a blazer and a t-shirt, probably Sarah on her way to work. It's a peaceful, domestic scene, and the last frame says, "Happy Spring," in a jaunty font. The caption, "Cuteness Overload Alert. These spring equinox babies have waddled right into our hearts. So much joy in new life." 142 likes, 85 comments, many of which were posted after the Harts died.
On Friday morning of March 23rd, Dana DeKalb called Child Protective Services to report all of the information she had collected about Jen and Sarah Hart. Officials showed up within a couple hours, but by then, Dana thought every second counted.
CPS had been contacted and gone out to see them. When she called me back, she goes, "I'm here, but I can't find you." She goes, "Well, I'm up where there across the street is a bank of mailboxes." I said, "Okay, well, turn around and I'll watch for you, and then I'll tell you, turn now." So I'm literally standing here watching for her to go by, and I see Jennifer coming down the hill. And I was thinking, crap, maybe the kids were home, alone. CPS could have been here by now. So I watched Jennifer coming up the driveway, and I'm like, well, they're home. So I told the lady, turn in. When you come up the driveway, go to the right. She came to my house. So as she pulled up, I'm like, giving her the signal to go back. I just motioned because I didn't want to yell, "Next door, you need to go next door." Because I thought, well, they could be out in the driveway. And so she got back in her car and went next door. She wasn't there very long, and I watched her leave, and I'm like, crap, nothing came of this. But they never answered the door. Even if you do answer the door, you can say, "I'm sorry, you're gonna have to come back another time."
What were your feelings when you actually made the call and reported it?
I think I was nervous. I was glad I did it because I got the feeling it had to happen. I knew it had to happen.
Were you worried that they would get abused more?
Yeah. I was. That was my biggest fear.
But what actually happened was worse.
People say necessity is the mother of invention, but that's not always true. Sometimes the mother of invention is...
advertising?
Yeah, or pure accident.
How about egomaniacal delusion?
Absolutely, or just a desperate longing to be cool.
I'm Robert Lamb.
And I'm Joe McCormick.
We're the hosts of the science podcast Stuff to Blow Your Mind, and now we're branching off into the exploration of invention.
Invention is the story of human history told one piece of technology at a time, the things we made and how they made us.
Invention publishes every Monday. Listen and subscribe to Invention on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you find your podcasts.
Dana saw Sarah's car speeding into the driveway, and then, at some point during the night, the car disappeared. As far as Dana could tell, The house next door was completely empty.
You just put it together that they had gone on the run. You didn't see them blaze out or anything. Okay.
Well, the rock wall was knocked over.
The end of it was clipped.
So they must have
They were leaving in a hurry.
left so fast that they backed over that rock wall and knocked it down. This, that was Saturday morning. Then Sunday, when the car was gone Sunday morning, that's when we said, they're running. They're gone.
At that moment, what did you think would be the outcome of this?
I guess I just figured they were trying to hide long enough to
sort it out.
Figure out their story.
They own the house. What are they gonna do? They got to come back eventually.
Well, they had chickens still here.
Chickens and the animals were all up there. And
Sarah's car. I mean, it just didn't occur to me that this was going to be the outcome.
You don't really think about.
I didn't think they'd kill themselves in my wildest imagination.
Sarah was scheduled to open Kohl's at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. At 3 a.m., she texted coworkers, "I am so sorry. I thought I would be able to go to work, but I'm too sick to come in."
Sarah's colleague, Cheryl Hart, had worked with her the day before, on that Friday. She says she didn't notice anything unusual about Sarah, at least not then.
Her mood that day, I felt, was fine. I had just found out that I was getting promoted, and she had actually known before me. So she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad that now you know, now I can tell you congratulations and everything." And so she was excited for me. And so we were laughing and stuff.
On Saturday, March 24th, the Harts' phones pinged off cell towers along the Oregon coast into California. And as you know, on Sunday the 25th, Jen showed up in Fort Bragg on a Safeway surveillance video. She was alone and about 25 pounds heavier than friends had ever seen her, wearing a gray sweatshirt, possibly the same one we caught a glimpse of in the video with the ducklings.
By Monday afternoon, Cheryl Hart was getting concerned. Sarah hadn't shown up for work all weekend and wasn't responding to texts, so Cheryl decided to call 911.
When she said she was sick, did she say what was going on, or?
She just said that she just is unable to come out and wasn't able to go to work and thought she was going to have to go to the doctor. I checked the hospitals. They didn't have any record of her. And I think her phone is now dead.
We were curious about why Cheryl made this call. Justine and I work pretty closely together, and we definitely talk about our families and what we did over the weekend. But I'm not sure I would call 911 if she didn't show up for work for a few days.
Can you talk through just why you made the call?
Well, so it started because Sarah was sick and because Sarah wasn't answering her phone. So they had asked me how to pull up the emergency contact list because they thought that maybe they could contact Jen. So I pulled it up. They called Jen and left a message. I sent a text message to a coworker like Sunday night, and I said, has anybody heard from Sarah yet? And she said no. She goes, it's really kind of weird. And I said, that is really weird. I said, she would not miss, 2 days of work without checking in or anything like that. I'm like, it's so bizarre because everything that was going on, she still did her job. She still showed up every day. She wasn't late. She still took initiative to get her projects done. She still had great ideas. I mean, she did everything. If you were just to walk in and not know her history or her family or her home life or whatever, you would never have any idea because none of it showed. When she was out on that sales floor, she had that hat on, all of the stuff aside. She did her job. So then we went in Monday and we waited until about 9 o'clock and she still hadn't shown up. By this time, the store manager had come in and I had filled him in on everything that had happened over the weekend and was like, something's going on. What do we do? And he's like, well, I don't know. I don't know if we can get involved or anything. And I was like, kind of forcing the issue, like, I think we have to get involved. I mean, something's going on. He had talked to his manager and they said, we'll like give it another hour or so. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are being men. This is ridiculous. Something needs to be done. So then I figured out that Jen's emergency contact number was actually Sarah's phone number. So we didn't have an emergency contact number for Sarah. So I finally got the okay to call it in. And I made the call. And then here I sit today.
About 2 hours after Cheryl hung up the phone, a German tourist spotted the Harts tan 2003 Yukon XL upside down at the bottom of the cliff in Mendocino County. The police report includes a photo of the car from above, and it looks like it's flat to the ground, with its brown and gray machinery camouflaged by the rocks, sand, and water. When you look at aerial shots of the scene, the car blends in so well, it's hard to see. The bodies of Marcus, Abigail, and Jeremiah were found nearby. Sierra's body washed ashore about 2 weeks later. A foot presumed to be Hannah's was found nearby as well, but at the time of this recording, investigators were still trying to match it with DNA from a woman claiming to be Hannah's biological mom. Devontae's body is still missing. The car's computer showed that, moments before the crash, Jen had stopped on a gravel pullout 70 feet from the edge of the cliff and then accelerated. You might wonder if the brakes malfunctioned, but according to a Carfax report, the pads had been replaced the previous July. Per industry experts, the average brake pads last for around 40,000 miles. So unless the Harts had driven back and forth across the country 6 times, the brake pads should have been in perfect working order.
Meanwhile, remember all that lush greenery Jen wrote about? When the police showed up to search the Harts' house, they found no plants inside. But over on Jen's Facebook, the ducklings continue to splash in their bowl of water. One yellow, one black. The most recent comment comes from a loyal friend wishing Jen a happy birthday months after she died.
Next time on Broken Harts.
The kids are skinny. Well, we just thought they were eating organic food.
We thought they were all the same age. They were small, so we thought they had to be in kindergarten.
Looking back on it, it doesn't look like they were normal kids. They didn't really have friends.
Abigail had bruising on her stomach area from her sternum to waistband, and bruising on her back from mid-back to upper buttocks, reportedly caused by Jen Hart.
For access to exclusive photos and videos and documents about the case, visit glamour.com/brokenhearts. Have questions for us about this podcast? Reach us on Twitter @GlamourMag or @BrokenHeartsPod. If you like what you heard, leave us a review. Broken Harts is a joint production between Glamour and How Stuff Works, with new episodes dropping every Tuesday. Broken Harts is co-hosted and co-written by Justine Harmon and Elizabeth Egan and edited by Wendy Naugle. Lauren Smiley is our field reporter. Samantha Barry is Glamour's editor-in-chief. Julie Shen and Deanna Buckman head up the business side of this partnership. Joyce Pendola, Pat Singer, and Luke Zaleski are our research team. Jason Hoke is executive producer on behalf of How Stuff Works, along with producers Julian Weller, Ben Kiebrick, and Josh Thane. Special thanks to Jen Lantz.
I'm Katie Golden. I studied psychology and evolutionary biology at Harvard, and I pretend to be a bird on Twitter. In my new podcast, Creature Feature, we view nature and man from a new perspective. Each episode asking a comedian to get inside the minds of animals so we can explore the startling connections to human psychology. You'll find bloodbaths and treachery that make Game of Thrones seem like a dumb show for babies. Join us every Wednesday and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts.